Fox News White House correspondent Peter Doocy is well known for asking the tough questions at exactly the right time. It's landed him in hot water a number of times this year, to the point that President Biden even called him an SOB one time, only to apologize later. We're going to do a best of Peter Doocy review in today's show. We are now 2 years into Joe Biden's $1.2 trillion Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, and a lot of people are asking, well, where are all the roads and the bridges and the power lines? We're going to dig a little deeper on what has actually been accomplished. The Michigan Supreme Court declined to remove President Donald Trump from their 2024 ballot, a direct contradiction of the Colorado Supreme Court's decision last week. So what does this mean for other states, if anything? And Tesla, the company known for its electric cars, solar panels, and batteries, they've been working hard to develop a humanoid robot that can perform various tasks and interact with humans. Are you ready to have a robot roaming around your home?
I told you we'd be back.
And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free.
It's Joey Hudson.
I wanted to name it the Joey Hudson bill, but, they don't allow you to put names on bills. But I wanted to call it the Joey Hudson bill because I know that one's been near and dear to you for a number of years.
That's how it's done. Let your voice be heard.
And the truth shall set you free.
Here's Joey Hudson.
Fox News White House correspondent Peter Doocy is well known for cornering White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre and other members of the Biden administration, even Joe Biden himself at times. We wanted to do a little review of some of the highlights of Peter Doocy's because he's had some great moments in the briefing room. Let's start with September, when Doocy read off some of Jean-Pierre's old tweets in which she claimed that the 2016 presidential election was stolen and that Republican Georgia Governor Brian Kemp stole the 2018 Georgia gubernatorial election from Democrat candidate Stacey Abrams. But no one has called Karine Jean-Pierre an election denier. If any of us questions the outcome of the 2020 election, she's the first one to defend it. Here's the exchange between Peter Doocy and Karine Jean-Pierre.
A follow-up about the MAGA Republican attention. So if we're all in agreement that it is incorrect to say the 2020 election was stolen, what about the 2016 election?
Look, I'm not going to go back to where we were or what happened in 2016. We're going to focus on the here and now. We're going to focus on what's happening today, this inflection point that the president pointed out very clearly, very decisively in a few speeches about what the country needs to do at this time to bring the country together. And he believes that's where majority of Americans are when it comes to protecting our democracy, when it comes to protecting our rights, and when it comes to protecting our freedoms. That's what we're going to talk about. That's what we're going to focus on where we are at today.
But just in trying to understand the new attention on the MAGA Republicans, you tweeted in 2016 Trump stole an election.
I was waiting, Peter, when you were going to ask me that question.
Well, great. Here we go. You tweeted Trump stole an election. You tweeted Brian Kemp stole an election. If denying election results is extreme now, why wasn't it then?
So let's be really clear. That comparison that you made is just ridiculous. I have been. Well, you're asking me a question. Yes. Let me answer it.
And you said it was ridiculous.
I was talking specifically at that time of what was happening with voting rights and what was in danger of voting rights. That's what I was speaking to at the time. And here's the thing. I have said Governor Kemp won the election in Georgia. I've been clear about that. I have said President Trump won the election of 2016, and I've been clear about that. What we are talking about right now is, let's not forget what happened on January 6th.
Oh, yeah. We always work it back around to January the 6th, don't we? This next one was a classic. Peter Doocy did not mince words with President Joe Biden in January when he asked about a batch of classified documents that were found in President Biden's garage near his prized Corvette.
We just have to remember who in God's name we are. You've heard me say it many times. This is the United States of America. There's nothing beyond our capacity if we work together. So God bless you all, and may God protect our troops.
Mr. President, thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President,
Okay.
classified material next to your Corvette? What were you thinking?
Let me, I'm going to get a chance to speak on all this, God willing, soon. But as I said earlier this week, people, and by the way, my Corvette's in a locked garage, okay? So it's not like you're sitting out in the street.
So
But anyway,
was in a locked garage.
yes, as well as my Corvette. But as I said earlier this week, people know I take classified documents and classified material seriously. I also said we're cooperating fully and completely with the Justice Department's review. As part of that process, my lawyers reviewed other places where documents from my time as vice president were stored, and they finished the review last night. They discovered a small number of documents of classified markings in storage areas and file cabinets in my home and my personal library. This was done in the case of the Biden Penn. This was done in the case of the Biden Penn Center. The Department of Justice was immediately, as was done, the Department of Justice was immediately notified, and the lawyers arranged for the Department of Justice to take possession of the document. So we're going to see all this unfold. I'm confident. Thank you very much.
Oh, yeah, he sounded very confident there, didn't he? Again, Peter Doocy, what were you thinking? Good question. This next one had the whole briefing room laughing. This was not too long ago when Doocy mixed up Biden's name with his former boss, President Barack Obama, kind of combining the two, and when everyone was sort of left scratching their head.
Is President Biden okay?
Yes, he is.
Yeah, is he? That's good. That's a big story for us.
President Biden.
Is the president
And only
okay?
They couldn't quite get past that one. Then back in January, a hot mic caught the president calling Doocy a stupid SOB after he had asked about the potential political liability that inflation could become in this 2024 election coming up. Doocy later told Fox News anchor Sean Hannity that the president had reached out to him via a phone call later in the day to tell him that it was nothing personal. Doocy also clarified that he didn't really receive an apology and didn't necessarily expect one either.
I want to be your negotiator here, and I would like to negotiate a 20-minute sit-down with you and Biden, one-on-one. I think that would be, I'm a Christian. I believe in forgiveness. Okay. Did he apologize?
He cleared the air, and I appreciated it. We had a nice call.
That's not an answer. Did he apologize? That doesn't sound like an apology.
He said it's nothing personal, pal.
Nothing personal, pal. Cleared the air? Yeah. Then there was Doocy asking Karine Jean-Pierre, this was in September, why 81-year-old President Joe Biden had just had a birthday, was treated like a baby. A question that appeared to just really irk Jean-Pierre when she started saying that no one treats the President of the United States, the Commander-in-Chief, like a baby, she said.
President Biden is the oldest president in U.S. history. Why does White House staff treat him like a baby?
No one treats the President of the United States, the Commander-in-Chief, like a baby.
So there's this book that says
That's ridiculous.
When
It's
staff
a
walked
ridiculous
back
claim.
what sounded like a call for regime change and rush to the president, quote, rather than owning his failure, he fumed to friends about how he was treated like a toddler. Was John Kennedy ever babied like that?
So look, I'll say this. There's going to be always a range of books that are about every administration, as you know, that's going to have a variety of claims. That is not unusual. That happens all the time, and we're not going to litigate those here. That's something that we're not going to speak to. There is one thing that I do want to, because I think I was asked this question last week by one of your colleagues about this particular excerpt that they were referring to, and so I'll say this, we did see the excerpt, the context of the excerpt, and it seemed to be making the opposite overall point about how the value of his experience and wisdom resulted in rallying the free world against authoritarianism, which is important. We have seen this, you all have seen this, and passage of the most historic agenda in recent history in his handling of foreign policy, like rallying the world around Ukraine.
Yep. Keep talking, Jean-Pierre. You'll eventually convince yourself. Then our final one, and look, there are plenty of material here, but our final one was when Peter Doocy just flat out accused the president of being afraid of China due to his failure to hold the country accountable for its role in causing the COVID-19 pandemic and for flying a spy balloon across U.S. skies and just allowing it to continue across our country.
Why is President Biden afraid of China?
The president is not afraid of China.
Well,
Did you see the president last week when we went to Ukraine, went to Kyiv? This is not a president that's afraid of anything. It was a historic trip that many of you said was brave. So clearly, this is a president that's not afraid to go to a war zone. He's not afraid to go there when there's no military presence on the ground. So there's nothing that this president fears.
China flew a spy craft over the U.S. The president didn't really do anything to China. And according to the FBI director, China may have created something that has killed more than 1.1 million people in this country. And President Biden is not punishing them.
864-477-JOEY, that's 864-477-5639 is how you can send a quick note on the Truth text line. You can also leave me a voice message, and your emails are always welcome. Joey@joeyhudson.com. Love to get your text messages on the Truth text line. So we're now 2 years into what Joe Biden likes to call the bipartisan infrastructure law. He always likes to call it bipartisan because there were some Republicans who ended up voting for it. Jarrett Skorup wrote a wonderful column in themessenger.com asking some very valid questions about the bipartisan infrastructure law. It goes like this. He said, where are all the new roads, bridges, broadband, power lines, and everything else we were promised? That's the question more than 2 years after Joe Biden signed the $1.2 trillion Infrastructure and Investment and Jobs Act, he says. Sure, funding has started flowing and some projects are getting off the ground, but for a bill that was sold as essential to building the next generation of American infrastructure and preventing emergency failures, there hasn't been nearly the construction boom to match the hype, he writes. As the White House acknowledges, although there has been a spending boom, more projects than not are still in the planning process or just now being awarded the funds. To understand why major projects take so long to start or never get off the ground in some cases, look no further than a depressing saga in my home state of Michigan, Skorup writes. The Great Lakes Tunnel is a case study in everything that's wrong with how America builds infrastructure today, he says. The project kicked off in 2018 with the goal of building a tunnel under the bottom of the Straits of Mackinac, which separates Michigan's upper and lower peninsulas. A pipeline would run through the tunnel carrying oil and gas as well as fiber optic cables for high-speed internet in hard-to-reach communities. The project seems like a no-brainer. It replaces an aging 1950s pipeline that's underwater but not underground. It means oil and gas will be moved more efficiently, a lower likelihood of an oil spill, and lower carbon emissions because of less need for trucks, trains, or barges. He writes, you'd think an infrastructure project that improved environmental safety, encouraged energy security, and expanded internet access would be a high priority for quick completion. Yet 5 years later, not a single shovelful of dirt has been moved. The older Line 5 pipeline is still in use because the new one has been held up by lawsuits, environmental reviews, political grandstanding. Earlier this month, state regulators once again approved the plan to move forward, but it's all but certain that further lawsuits will delay and keep the project in limbo. When major projects like the Great Lakes Tunnel can't move forward, America can't move forward, Skorup writes. We need new infrastructure and not just pipelines to stay globally competitive and spark economic growth and innovation. Yet many major infrastructure projects get held up for similar reasons as the Great Lakes Tunnel. Instead of starting construction, projects are stopped at square one by lawsuits and bureaucratic reviews, wasting precious time and money that would be better spent putting shovels in the ground. He writes, an intensive permitting process Environmental reviews and lawsuits all serve to add cost and delays. Consider highway projects, easily one of the most visible and essential types of infrastructure. According to the U.S. Department of Transportation and their most recent information, the average project takes at least 46 months just to finish environmental review. Think about that, 46 months. He writes that's nearly 4 years, and it's just one part of the infrastructure approval process. There are other government hoops to jump through, and even if they're cleared, special interest groups routinely file lawsuits to delay big projects. The time in courts adds further months or years to a project's start or completion date, and in some cases, the lawsuits kill promising infrastructure projects just outright. All this wasted time means wasted money, which matters when so much taxpayer money is on the hook. Highways, mass transit, tunnels, bus stations, bridges, ports, nuclear plants, they've all exploded costs as infrastructure projects have dragged on. And it's very unlikely these added delays and regulations are protecting public safety, he writes, because peer counties don't have nearly the same requirements or a worse safety record. And while other countries also have experienced rising infrastructure costs, their increases typically aren't nearly as high as skyrocketing U.S. costs. They're spending money on actual infrastructure while we're spending money on lawsuits and paperwork about infrastructure. It didn't used to be like this, he says. In the middle of the 20th century, Americans built the famous Mackinac Bridge, the third largest suspension bridge in the world, in the same place where the Great Lakes Tunnel was supposed to be. That massive project took 3.5 years, and to this day, the bridge stands as a testament to America's ability to build big things fast and on budget. Meanwhile, 5 years after it was proposed, the Great Lakes Tunnel is nowhere close to starting construction, to say nothing of finishing it, and its anticipated costs are growing all the time. What is true in Michigan is true across America, he says. No wonder that $1.2 trillion hasn't led to a surge in new infrastructure projects, despite the promises by elected officials. Turns out, how much we spend doesn't matter nearly as much as how we spend it. As a country, we need to cut through the red tape so that we can build infrastructure far faster and far more affordably. Until that happens, don't expect those new roads and bridges to be built anytime soon, even though America desperately needs them. Jarrett Skorup, he's Vice President for Marketing Communications at the Mackinac Center for Public Policy, a free market research and educational think tank in Michigan. And he's right, isn't he? He is dead right. 864-477-JOEY, 864-477-5639. Glad to have you join me today. Tesla, the company known for its electric cars, solar panels, and batteries, has been working to develop a humanoid robot that can perform various tasks and interact with humans. Are you ready to have a robot roaming your home? Portions of today's show brought to you by PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition. 3 years ago, I was introduced to Dr. Ashley Lucas and her crew at PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition. And what a team they have. Offices in Greenville, Asheville, Charlotte, Lake Norman. If you want to lose the weight for the last time, and if you want to get healthy, if you want to feel better, be able to focus, be able to sleep better, then get off some of that excess weight that you've been carrying around. And PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition can help you with that. It's based on the science of nutrition. This is not a fad diet. It's not a diet at all. It's a lifestyle change. Let me encourage you to let's get started on the right foot in 2024. Call today. Set up your initial consultation. 864-252-4925. 864-252-4925. Visit online at myphdweightloss.com. PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition, the official partner of the Clemson Tigers. So Tesla, the company, recently unveiled its latest version of its robot. It's called Optimus Gen 2, which is lighter, faster, smoother, and more capable than its predecessor. So what is Optimus Gen 2? It's the second generation of Tesla's humanoid robot. It's designed to be a general-purpose machine that can assist you in various domains like manufacturing, construction, healthcare, and even entertainment. The humanoid robot, by the numbers, it's 5 feet 11 inches tall, weighs 121 pounds, which is 22 pounds lighter than the previous version. It can run at a speed of 5 miles per hour, which is 30% faster than before. It has 35 degrees of freedom, which means it can move its joints in various directions and angles. It also has a more human-like appearance and movement, thanks to its new hands, feet, neck, and body. The robot's hands have 11 degrees of freedom and are equipped with tactile sensors and fast actuators, which allow it to manipulate objects with more precision and dexterity. Its feet have a more natural shape and have force and torque sensors and articulated toes, which enables it to balance better and walk more smoothly. And the robot's neck has 2 degrees of freedom and can tilt and rotate its head, which gives it more expressiveness and flexibility, according to the report from Tesla. The robot's body has integrated electronics and wiring, which makes it more streamlined and robust. It has a new white color scheme as well. So why is Optimus 2 important? Because it's a remarkable achievement for Tesla and the field of robotics in general. The robot demonstrates the rapid progress and innovation that Tesla has made in developing humanoid machines that can rival or surpass human capabilities. The robot also shows the potential for humanoid robots to become a part of our society, part of our economy, part of your everyday life, as they can perform tasks that are dangerous, dull, or maybe difficult for humans. Tesla's not the only company that's working on humanoid robots. However, Tesla, similar to the EV, has an advantage over its competitors in terms of mass production and scalability, as it can leverage its expertise and infrastructure in manufacturing the electric vehicles and batteries into producing robots. Tesla also reportedly has a vision of creating a network of robots that can communicate, cooperate with each other and with humans using its autopilot and Neuralink technologies. Again, are you ready to have a robot roaming around your home? Love to get your comments. If you could buy one today, would you buy one? Would you have a robot in your home? You can comment on the Truth text line, 864-477-JOEY, 864-477-5639. You can also leave a quick message, and your emails are welcome, joey@joeyhudson.com. Speaking of the Truth text line, got a lot of texts. I'm going to try to get through a few of them, or as many as I can here. A texter says, "Good morning, Joey. As far as vice president running mate for Trump, do you think Tim Scott could work well with the president?" This was in response to my question to you yesterday. Who do you want to be named as vice president? There's a lot of speculation starting to build as to who Donald Trump will choose as his running mate. And all of you have an idea of who you think that should be. Brian says, on the vice president for Trump, I would say Ted Cruz would be a good option. He can be the hatchet man for cleaning up the swamp, and he knows all the details. Jennifer writes that she believes Kristi Noem, governor of South Dakota, would be a good vice president for Trump. Chuck in Pennsylvania writes, "Good morning, Joe. Regarding your question about vice presidential possibilities for Trump, I'm pushing for the selection of Tulsi Gabbard. She has both military and congressional experience and also displays common sense." Chuck writes, "Yes, I'm still out here." Good to hear from you, Chuck. Appreciate your text. Jeff writes, "I would like to see Ron DeSantis as Trump's running mate, but to get him some experience, but I don't see that happening. It will probably be Nikki Haley." Oh, I don't think it will be, Jeff, but possibly. Possibly. Susan writes, "Here's something else I found regarding revocation of PhDs and other college degrees." Now, I had referenced Harvard's president, Claudine Gay, and some of the troubles that she's found herself in because of plagiarism. And I asked the question, can a degree be revoked by a school? So I guess Susan's done some research for me. She sent me a link to a couple of articles. She writes, "Gay's PhD should definitely be revoked for the reasons you brought up in today's podcast, including her penchant for plagiarism." Can a university revoke a degree? This may shock you. She sent me a link to Campus Leaders article. I'm going to read you a quick excerpt. It says, "While a university can revoke a degree, it's usually only done under extreme circumstances. If a graduate was found to have violated a university's policies, such as plagiarizing a vital paper bingo, revocation of the degree might be necessary to uphold the university's policies. Ignoring graduates' past transgressions that the university recently found out will only make the school look bad, it writes. While revoking degrees is rare, and the hearing to do so is fair, it's still a possibility. However, graduates can fight a degree revocation and win with the proper evidence to back up their claims. The problem that Ms. Gay is going to have, though, is she can't back her claims up because it's a known fact that she has plagiarized a number of different things over the years, and the list is growing, it seems like, daily. Susan, appreciate that information. Tony writes, Joey, I'd love to see Trump DeSantis or Trump Carlson. If Nikki the quitter is even on the ticket, he's lost my vote as well as others. She's hated in South Carolina because of rhino status. Only lower state likes the quitter. And then Faye says she'd love to see Jim Jordan as Trump's vice president. Our text of encouragement today, one thing I ask from the Lord, this only do I seek, that I may dwell in the house of the Lord all the days of my life, to gaze on the beauty of the Lord and to seek him in his temple. Psalm 27:4. God bless. Thank you for sending that. Your comments are welcome on the Truth text line as well. 864-477-JOEY, 864-477-5639. Leave me a quick voice message or send me a quick email, joey@joeyhudson.com. The Michigan Supreme Court declined to remove Trump from the 2024 ballot. I'll give you all the details in just a moment. First, portions of today's show brought to you by Discounted Appliance Warehouse. Are you tired of buying appliances from inexperienced sales staff who have no appliance knowledge at all? You're not going to get that when you make the short trip over to Pickens to Discounted Appliance Warehouse. They have an A-plus Better Business Bureau, nearly perfect reviews on Google, and the team at Discounted Appliance Warehouse, they have the knowledge that you need to have confidence in your purchase. They recognize that appliances are not inexpensive. You need to get it right the first time, and they're going to help you do that. They'll show you around the warehouse, over 11,000 square feet, slam-packed with new appliances, and they'll help you find the ideal solution. They have expert installation, award-winning service department, and extended warranties. Discounted Appliance Warehouse. You need to check them out. It's worth the short drive to Pickens. I promise you. It's where I buy all of my appliances. Find them online at dawpickens.com, dawpickens.com. So the Michigan Supreme Court declined this week to remove former President Donald Trump from their state's 2024 ballot. The court wrote that it was not persuaded that the questions presented should be reviewed by this court. According to the brief, of course, you know, last week, Colorado Supreme Court ruled that Trump was ineligible to appear on their state's ballot under Section 3 of the 14th Amendment, which disqualifies officials who take an oath to the Constitution and then engage in insurrection from holding office. Colorado has halted enforcement of their decision until January the 4th to give the Trump team time to appeal to the Supreme Court, which they've indicated they'll be doing just that. Free Speech for People, an organization backed by left-wing donors, filed the Michigan lawsuit to remove Trump in September after filing a similar case in Minnesota. The case stated the events of January 6, 2021 amounted to an insurrection or a rebellion under Section 3, which is defined as a violent, coordinated effort to storm the Capitol to obstruct and prevent the Vice President of the United States and the United States Congress from fulfilling their constitutional roles by certifying President Biden's victory and to illegally extend then-President Trump's tenure in office. Judge Elizabeth Welch issued a short dissent Wednesday, writing that considering the importance of the legal questions at issue and the speed with which the appellants and the judiciary have moved, I believe it's important for this court to issue a decision on the merits, and that they did. 864-477-5639. Your comments are welcome on the Truth text line. One final story I want to share with you today. I read this, and it's just one of those stories I could just visualize this happening. It's out of North Carolina. A 3-year-old never intended to be the Grinch who almost stole Christmas, but rather a bewildered young man who wanted to have fun on Christmas morning. Here's the story. Scott and Katie Rankin were awoken early Monday, Christmas morning, when they heard their child asking for scissors so he could open a present that had Spider-Man gear inside of it. That's when they discovered that their 3-year-old had opened every single gift under the family's Christmas tree around 3 a.m. that morning. He woke up, got out of bed, went downstairs while the rest of the family, he has a 6-year-old and a 1-year-old brother, as they're sleeping, the 3-year-old is downstairs opening the presents under the tree. The dad said he wanted us to be able to see our presents so we knew what they were. I think he legitimately just felt like he was doing a service to everyone. He will not do it again next year, we hope. The parents only hoped that their 6-year-old child hadn't been awoken and would still be surprised by the gifts on Christmas morning. The 6-year-old is very much the rule follower, so the idea that someone would just go down and open all the presents would be unthinkable to him, the father said. But our middle child, the 3-year-old, is very much the adventurous, ridiculous, no rules, have fun kind of kid. As Dad put the woken children back to bed, Mom tried to rewrap the unwrapped presents using ripped-apart wrapping paper since it had already been used once for wrapping. He said, luckily my wife repackaged enough of the presents to stop the villain origin story of the 6-year-old. We, on the other hand, are sipping coffee and plotting to tell this story at his wedding. I don't know why that struck me so funny, but can't you just visualize this kid downstairs thinking, wow, I'm going to open all the presents before the rest of the family gets here. That's it for today's edition of Just the Truth. Thank you for joining me in the PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition Studio. To lose weight for the last time, visit myphdweightloss.com. If you haven't joined my mailing list yet, let me encourage you to visit my website, joeyhudson.com. Click on the Connect with Joey button so that you can receive our emails with the most up-to-date news. Thank you for spending a few minutes of your day with me. Hope you have a wonderful day. Keep those comments coming to the Truth text line, 864-477-5639. Keep your emails coming as well to joey@joeyhudson.com. Hope you have a great rest of your day. Until next time, remember, God's got this. He's in control.